We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison. You are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, and it is a Monday, and that means it's a Mailbag Monday. We are going to be answering the questions which you guys have submitted to us via our Instagram stories, and we do have some good ones. We're going to be talking Alberto El Patron versus Vikingo from last night's Triple R Triple Mania, as well as redoing our predictions for King and Queen of the Ring. It is an absolutely stacked show, and of course, as I always say, for a stacked show, we need a stacked panel. Let's firstly introduce Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well. I'm stoked. Happy Monday, everyone. We've got mail. I'm excited to get into all of this. I guess we're going to redo our predictions here, too. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also joining us, we have, for the last time this summer, Josh Markowitz. How are you, Josh?
Yeah, this is sad. This is sad. Tears are coming out of my eyes, but I will be back. Don't worry. This is not a permanent leave, just a temporary leave for the summer. But as always, if I could choose any day, it would be Mailbag Monday. I'm excited to be here. We have a stacked card. We got a stacked card, as we can see, of, it's over there. Stacked card of stuff to go over, and I'm excited to get into it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And without further ado, let's jump head first into our King and Queen of the Ring predictions. And Josh, I'm actually going to send this one to you first of all, because of course, last week when we did these predictions, it was me, Clark, and you. And at that time, we did not know the bracket. We were just completely and utterly guessing it. We didn't know, who was going to be in it or any of that. But Josh, I want to get your thoughts out the gate. Who do you think is going to be advancing?
Yeah, okay. So this, obviously, it's a little bit easier to, predict this. Sorry, because we, have an idea of who's going to be in the semifinals and who's going to be in the finals. So I will start with the Queen of the Ring. So there was, there's talks about Asuka. Obviously, Asuka's returning from an injury. She's been out for about a year now, I believe. So look, will Asuka return? And I kind of just want to get into Asuka because I do hope she wins, but there's also there's a different angle that I hope WWE goes at with Asuka in order for her to win. So the question is, will Asuka return and just head straight to the Queen of the Ring? Will she win the Queen of the Ring right away after coming back from an injury? In my opinion, this is Asuka's last chance to really get over again. Asuka's been trying to get back to, and she's had injuries, and, tag teams have been separated because of injuries. It's happened to Kairi Sane. So, Asuka's been trying to get back to being as over as she was in 2018 and 2020, but honestly, she just hasn't. It's been a few years since I feel like Asuka was truly over, and people were saying, I hope Asuka comes back with a new gimmick or a new this, a new that. Honestly, I hope Asuka just comes back with her old gimmick. The theme song was electric. It's one of my favorite themes of all time. She was a great, mysterious, and talented babyface, and in my opinion, she was the MVP in 2020 during COVID. Not a lot of people remember it just because wrestling during 2020, WWE specifically, was not super entertaining. But she was number one in Sports Illustrated's women's wrestling rankings. She was a top contender for Wrestler of the Year in 2020, not even Woman Wrestling of the Year, like straight up men and women Wrestler of the Year. She was also a double champion. She won the Money in the Bank that year. Like, that is the Asuka we need back. And if that's what we're getting, then by all means, she should win Queen of the Ring. So that's my Queen of the Ring prediction. I hope she comes back with her old presence, her old aura, and she wins that right off the bat. And now we will head into the men's side, the King of the Ring. This is going to be fun because I'm going to make a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I think it is personally. We'll see. So WWE listens to the fans. We've seen it during WrestleMania 40 when they changed The Rock versus Roman to Cody versus Roman. We've seen it with R-Truth when they released R-Truth and they hired him back a week later, which we just saw. So WWE listens to the fans, right? Now, what are the fans asking for? I'm sure many people know. It's pretty obvious. The fans are asking for Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is over. He's naturally over via the internet. And that's the best part about the internet wrestling community. A lot of people like to argue that the internet wrestling community is not very useful. It's very hateful. There's got some use to it because Karrion Kross is now over. The fans are reacting very strongly towards him. And Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross have been involved in several backstage segments where Karrion Kross is trying to get Sami Zayn to get to that dark side. So here's what I think is going to happen. Karrion Kross is going to help Sami Zayn win by a simple out-of-the-ring distraction, helping him advance to the finals. We're then going to see Cody versus Sami Zayn, two great friends, both baby faces. They're going to face off in Night of Champions for the crown. It's going to be a match full of respect until Sami Zayn turns heel on Cody by the aid of Karrion Kross. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross will stand tall with Zayn holding the crown. Sami Zayn will turn heel, join up with Karrion Kross, and they'll be a team.
I love that theory. I really do, but there is one issue with it. And that issue is that the winner of that's going to be going on to face Gunther at SummerSlam. I mean, you can't have heel versus heel, and even if Seth Rollins cashes in, it's still heel versus heel.
You know, I think with Rollins versus Gunther, you can do heel versus heel just because it's like Rollins group versus Gunther. I think certain heel versus heels can work. I don't love the idea, but it is possible. I do agree that is a good point. But then what? You do Cody versus
No,
Gunther again?
we do babyface Sami Zayn versus that's my pick. I think Sami Zayn's going to win as well. I agree with you, but I think it's going to be a babyface Sami Zayn. And at SummerSlam, it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Sami Zayn's about to win. He's hit the kick. It is all fantastic. And right at that moment, well, that's when Seth Rollins cashes in. He breaks the heart of Sami Zayn. He's about to win the big one, and it all comes crumbling right back down. We've got Ant University in the commentary saying, here comes the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail when it comes. I want to yell, mail. We've got numero one saying, mail, mail, mail. It's mail time in honor of Blues Clues. Fernando Zaya saying, happy Monday, WR crew. And Bobby Petito is in the chat as well. And we do have Clark back now after some brief technical difficulties.
Yeah, I apologize about that. I got to make a run to get a new cord today. We have a problem.
Did the dog pull it out?
Yeah, she dropped her toy on it and it's shredded. That's my fault.
You look great now. No worries.
You're all good now. You're back in business. And somebody else who will be, to your point, Josh, back in business tonight is Oscar. You referenced it. And actually, one of our questions was from I'm S4KSH4M, who says Oscar will return with a new gimmick and head straight for the Queen of the Ring title. But yeah, I can't really see that happening. I think Jade Cargill's a sure bet. But Clark, I want to get your two predictions for both the men's and the women's King and Queen of the Ring.
Queen of the Ring, I've got Jade Cargill as well. Did you say who's actually fully in the men's thing? I'm sorry, I wasn't even fully prepared for this. It's
pod? I'm joking.
It's Cody. I'm going with the same one. I said Cody the other day. It's Cody. It's Cody. I'm sorry.
On one side, it's Cody versus the winner of tonight's Fatal 4-Way, and on the other side, it's Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton.
Sorry, it's my fault. It's still cutting in and out because without the cord, it's like I had to reset the Wi-Fi too because that's down, and then like I'm struggling.
Technology's all over.
Struggling over here. It's like worst case scenario.
Can you show me now, Clark?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Right, on the women's side, it's Roxanne Perez versus Jade Cargill, and then Alexa Bliss versus the winner of tonight's Fatal 4-Way, a returning Oscar versus Ivy Nile versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Stephanie Vaquer. Yeah, he's not there, Josh, is he?
This is killing me. Let me try to fix this one more time. I apologize.
Right, anyway.
I thought he was just thinking about it.
Really bad. I'll be back.
Do you know what, though, Josh? Your reaction there, you were so still that I thought for a second.
Oh, you thought
is it me?
My fault.
It me? And then as soon as you moved, I was like, whoa,
I thought he was thinking about it. I was like, you can say your answer?
I Make Beat says I vote Sammy and Roxanne. I mean, Roxanne is a sleeper pick in this as well tonight.
But let me ask you this: what do you do? What do you do about Sammy versus Gunther? Yeah, I mean, you have Kem cash in, neither of them win. You have Seth Rollins cash in the middle of the match.
So Sammy gets that close, and then this all leads to WrestleMania, where we do Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins, and finally Sammy wins the big one. That is,
do,
I
yeah.
predicted it in May, I think.
I do like that. The only thing with that is that like we've just seen Sammy versus Gunther, so the build to it. I mean, yeah, they'll just have to implement Rollins into the build. Like it won't really
Yeah.
come as a surprise that he's cashing in. It'll be just as big of a pop whether it's a surprise or not. But they'll
Yeah.
have to implement Rollins in the build to make it different from the WrestleMania 40 build.
Yeah, I mean, I can just see what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do is they'll have Seth go home early, and then they
Yeah.
always do it. They love to do it. They say, "Oh, I'm done for the night. I'm going home." They get in the car, and then they come back later on. I Make Beat says Sammy will win the Rumble in Saudi. Again, that's what my other prediction too. I think Sammy will be the one to win the Men's Royal Rumble. Roundhead says, "Is this iPhone's Josh? Josh, you are now known as the man of Apple."
I mean, I switched my profile, but I guess it's permanent. Maybe I'll switch back. Yeah.
Your new gimmick is you're an Apple salesman.
Yeah, I'll put an Apple store behind me. Yeah, jeez.
We've got Roundhouse saying, Sammy winning the Saudi Rumble makes a lot of sense. Aunt You says Roman prevents Sammy from cashing in on Sammy Uso. I like that, but at the same time, I like stacking the odds against the babyface, about to give them their moment after so long, and then just pulling it from right out in front of them, breaking their hearts. Bang. $1 million WrestleMania story, and Sami Zayn can get not only his big moment, but his big moment on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Plus, to the other point I Make Beats made, he can win the Rumble in Saudi as well. Like, that would be an incredible moment for him.
Yeah. Plus, I think personally, Sammy can't beat Gunther again. You know, if you have Gunther lose to Sami Zayn twice on two of the biggest stages, and then he also tapped out the Jey Uso on the biggest stage, it's like, you know, how dominant really is this guy? Like,
He'd make Jey Uso look rubbish. Yeah, absolutely rubbish.
You can't have Gunther lose to you can't have him lose again to Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. You just can't.
No, you really cannot.
Yeah.
Fernando says Stephanie Vaquer wins Queen of the Ring. I mean, if she wins tonight, that's a sleeper pick.
100%. I agree. She's a young star, and you know, actually, I think the King of the Ring was not first invented, but more recently, it's been to take younger talent or talent that isn't as over in this situation with Vaquer. It is she's younger and elevate them. You know, like Sheamus won in 2010, and that really elevated his career. So I wouldn't mind that at all. She's up and coming. She's still young. She's just as over as anyone else now, but why not?
Yeah, she's the most over person in that match tonight, but it's going to be interesting because I'm looking at who they face next week, and it's Alexa Bliss. I don't think Alexa Bliss is going to win that one, but my question then is, who will she face? I mean, it's going to be either Asuka or Stephanie Vaquer, and I don't think they're going to want to pin Stephanie Vaquer yet, so I think Asuka's going to win it, and then I guess in the final it will be Asuka versus Jade Cargill. And sorry, I was trying to sort the Wi-Fi issues. Is your prediction Asuka then, Josh?
Yeah, we'll throw a prediction as Asuka. Yeah.
So you've gone Asuka, I've gone Jade Cargill, and I reckon that'll be the final anyway. So
yeah,
it's going to go down to the wire, I reckon.
That'll be fun.
I Make Beat says he got away with it once because Gunther let his guard down, but now on the World Heavyweight Championship run, the ring general cannot be lacking. I mean, absolutely, but I think he is going to be lacking because I can't see him holding this belt past SummerSlam, even if there is a cash-in. Aunt You says the better story is Jade beating Asuka, then beating Tiffy, celebrating with Bianca, and getting cashed in on. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, and I think Naomi's going to... Again, I don't want to see, but I think Naomi's going to cash in with when Bianca's celebrating with her, and Sam cashing in for Bianca. And then Bianca's like, what the hell are you on about? And she's like, this is my apology to you, B. I'm going to let you have it. You know, this is your moment. And Bianca Belair just won't do anything. And then Jade will roll up Bianca and get the win. And then bang, we're starting building to that triple threat match, which I think Naomi will win. But I mean, I don't know. But we also have Fernando saying, agree, Gunther cannot lose to Sammy again. What's your thought on that, though, Josh? On the women's theory with the cash-in.
I do like that idea. I would also like the idea of that happening where we can hear the audio clearly, so we can clearly hear him saying, we can hear Naomi saying like, look, I'm sorry, this is my apology. Bianca here. Bianca turns her back, and then maybe Naomi hits her, cashes in, something like that. I do like that idea, though. I mean, the triple threat is inevitable, I think. So if there's a way to build it, it's probably that. I don't know how everybody would react to, Naomi giving her Money in the Bank briefcase out. That would be something. I don't know how people would react to that. I certainly wouldn't be that happy with it. It would just be weird. It would be a first time thing. No one's ever given their briefcase to someone. I get it.
They've teased it before, but they've never actually done it because I can't remember who it was. Somebody, years back, I remember somebody teased. They were in a tag team or something, and they teased cashing it in for their partner. I can't remember who it was, but it never actually happened. But I mean, if that does happen, I think it would advance the story really, really well. I think from a purely storytelling perspective, it works. But the issue is, to your point, Josh, there's going to be an uproar from wrestling fans because they're not going to like it.
No, not.
Yeah, I mean, Roundhead says it would tear the IWC apart, and I think it would be worth it for the story, but I just think it would be such a bad reaction to it. And also would make Naomi the first failed women's Money in the Bank winner. But up next, while Clark fixes his Wi-Fi, hopefully, we're actually going to skip ahead to the third topic and skip Clark's one, although we will get to that if we need to, because we have a question which has been sent in from Instagram user j.p.mora_the_odd_fellow, who has sent in this opinion. Becky Lynch winning the IC title from Lyra Valkyria just put her on the path of becoming a jobber and to essentially turn into the next Shayna Baszler, a rising star that takes a massive loss and is never the same again. I hope I'm wrong, because Lyra is too talented to be in the position of a jobber and should not be in the position of a jobber. This opinion absolutely sucks. In fact, if it could suck anymore, it would be doing it for a living behind a paywall. Josh, I want to get your thoughts on this, because this to me is outrageous.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ben. I'm with you. It's outrageous. I mean, yeah, let's talk about the context first of it. Yes, losing the Intercontinental Championship title to Becky, especially by roll-up, is not ideal branding. It does, I agree, it does risk sending the jobber signal to casual fans. If you're watching the pay-per-view and you see it, you're like, all right, this girl's not that good. She just lost by a roll-up. But there's more to it if you actually watch the program and you actually follow the storylines. Lyra's received strong crowd reactions, solid promos, credible in-ring work. Like, the fact she was given a rematch in the first place and even continues to feud with Becky is a major endorsement from WWE. So that's one part. She's not going to be a jobber. Should fans be worried? No, definitely not yet. I mean, a loss does not mean she's just dead in the water. Like, momentum is definitely in her corner. WWE, booked her again for a reason. The fan support is there. I think the reaction to her work is still positive, even though she lost. So, she's got that entrance. She got the woo, that cool thing that everyone does. So look, I mean, you're over. That's how it works. And if you're over, you're probably not going to be a jobber. So unless you're like a comedic act or something like that. So, I mean, look, the bottom line is Lyra is not on her way to becoming WWE's version of Shayna Baszler, yet. I really don't see it happening. It's possible. I don't see why they would do it. If WWE did do it, they would be messing up horribly. And I would hope another company would take her from WWE because she is very talented. But look, I mean, I think personally, WWE still sees her as a rising star. I think one title loss isn't the end. I think, if anything, it could be a step forward, actually. And maybe she's on to bigger and better things. She didn't lose the Women's Championship. She lost the Intercontinental Championship. That's a mid-card title. Who knows what's next for her? She could be stepping up.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only did she, obviously she lost, but it wasn't like she lost in 4 minutes in their first match. She beat Becky Lynch in the first match. She retained that belt.
Yes.
And she did so, convincingly. Then, Becky managed to get the win over her in the end, but they made her look strong. They built her up. I mean, you can't be any more protected in a title loss.
And she also lost by a roll-up. It's not like she lost. She's not like she didn't lose clean. That is clean. But if there's she didn't tap out. She didn't give up. She didn't let the ref count to 3. It was a roll-up. She was fine after she got up. She was all angry. There's more to this, and she's not a jobber. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And numero one Superfly agrees, saying Lyra better not be a jobber. She can challenge for the World Championship multiple times. If she does become a jobber, That is the booking's fault. I Make Beat says the entrance is over, the in-ring ability is over, and the story with Becky is over. It was the best match on Money in the Bank. Yeah, I think it is absolutely fine. I Make Beat says also wrestling fans don't like anything. But I May Beat is saying, lol, remember when Ben was zoomed in the other day? If anybody's not seen Friday's show, my camera kept zooming in big on my face. But
great.
talking about technical difficulties, I May Beat mentioned that Clark's got their 1998 dial-up modem. Well, I think it is back working again. He's dialed it up. Clark, are you back?
We're back. We're fully
trying.
back. I went out of
Back in
my
action.
way. Listen, here's the deal. Some people may have just called Lyra a jobber. I'm not so much of a jobber. I'm more of a call a guy type of a person. But I went out of my way to fix my internet just to make this segment, guys, because this is ridiculous. She's 2-1 against Becky. She didn't just beat her once. She beat her twice. She beat her in NXT. What in the wide world of sports are we talking about here? Stop it. Lyra Valkyria is not going to become a jobber. If anything, the lasting memory of the victory by Becky Lynch is getting German suplex right on the back of her head to end the entire thing. She wasn't going to get disrespected in the middle of the ring. She's not going to get disrespected by the booking committee. Come on, guys.
This person just needs to go back to their career of only selling fans. Up next, let's talk about AEW All In and an opinion from Jose9. Sorry, not an opinion, a question from Jose99 asking how would we book the ending of AEW All In? And of course, for this, I'm going to go under the presumption that the main event is Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page. And how I would book it is, firstly, I would not have Jon Moxley touching any of the production crew. We don't want to have another lawsuit on our hands here. But secondly, how I would deal with this, just take the tail off Moxley. Have Hangman win. Have everybody come out and even the odds take out the Death Riders. And in the end, Hangman is on his own in the middle of that ring and hits the buckshot lariat. Unlike Logan Paul, he hits it properly. Bang. 1, 2, 3. New champion. And let's move on from this mess. Clark, how would you book it?
I would book it nearly identical to what you just said. Buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3, dead in the center of the ring. I want it to be really back and forth. I want it to be one-on-one. I don't know about necessarily all the odds being even so much. I'd almost like to see Hangman fight off the whole Death Riders. I don't think that that's the route we'll go. If it was me, I would love to see that. You know what? The solo cowboy, the fastest hands in the West, right? The old gunslinger goes out there and goes, no. I don't care about the numbers advantage. I don't care about any of this. Everybody gets a buckshot. Everybody gets a buckshot. This briefcase is getting opened up, and I'm taking home the title that's inside of it in Texas. That's the way you go. I love it. But Hangman has to win this one at this stage. We're done with this. We're done.
Absolutely. It has to be over. And 3 things are certain in life. Death, taxes, and numero 1 Superfly will not stop predicting Shane McMahon owning AEW. How long has it been now? Like that original, it must have been like a year ago. And you are still staying strong with that prediction. But he is saying it's really hard because I honestly don't see Hangman winning the world title. I feel as though he will get screwed by both the Death Riders and Will, leading to Shane owning AEW until Darby returns. Could you see that, Clark?
No, let's not stretch this. Remember what I just said about Hangman? Come on, man. No, don't do this. No.
Please no, please no. End it.
The problem is the answer to your question is yes, I can see it. I just don't want to. Stop making me look at things. I don't want to visualize it.
Yeah, the worst part is I could see it. If Darby returns from just leaving, abandoning them and climbing a mountain, I mean, that is just a complete joke. I mean, he obviously in real life, it's a massively awesome thing he's done. But in kayfabe, it's
all the way
cowardly.
down the mountain. He just coffin dropped into like a backsledding situation.
Is the stadium in Texas open roof?
I believe it's one of those stadiums that's it's retractable. So
well,
based
let's
on
get
the
rid
weather,
of the roof. And let's have the finish of the match actually be Darby Allin out of nowhere.
Actually, you know what?
Drop.
You've kind of got an interesting play here. Because think about this. Since it's retractable, right? It's going to be too hot to do that in Texas in the summer during the length of the show. but it'll cool down at night by the time you get to the main event. How cool would it be if the roof starts open, someone hits the button? Even if it's not a drop in, wouldn't that be kind of cool? The roof opens and then that's how you have like some sort of entrance.
Coffin drop.
Right? Like somebody hits the button and then suddenly like, boom, the roof opens. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think
you should actually pull, as much as we're joking, you could almost pull something. I don't think like a coffin drop, but like, right? Like you could pull something cool with the roof aspect of it off.
Yeah. In a joking way, I would love to see him coffin drop from the roof, but you don't see an angle of him standing. You just watch him fall, and the story is that he jumped from Mount Everest and ended up landing right through the roof.
That's how he made it there.
In the ring, right. That's the story.
That's how he did it. So then there we are. Then in kayfabe, he's not actually a coward, and instead he climbed Mount Everest just to be able to help Hangman Adam Page.
I mean, honestly, the coolest if you're trying to do something crazy just for future wrestling, they're not going to do this at All In, but like you book it so that Darby's banned from the building, and then you have somebody press the button and he parachutes in. Would be like the coolest run in of all time, right? He does the landing out like right. He parachutes in and lands in the ring, and then that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
No, you know what they're gonna do? No, number one, I think you might be right. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna have Hangman lose, Moxley win, and then at Darby, like you said, Clark parachute or glide in, and the ending to the show is Darby standing tall. No, don't do it. You got to get this title off Moxley.
You have to open the roof in the main event again, which, by the way, it is. I do know this for a fact. It's really expensive to open the roof. So, like, to open it and close it, it costs like actually money somehow. Like it's not. They don't want to just be like. It's not like your sunroof in your car. I guess it's like it takes a lot of production work to get the roof on and off. It's not just like opening your garage door, like you press a button and it's like.
Who designed that? That's rubbish.
I don't know. I think it has to do with being able to seal it for like heat inclusion. I don't know the whole thing, but I watched like a YouTube video. I was pretty bored about it when they first built the stadium.
I'm sure it's more worth it than when AEW paid like $70,000 to get the copyright for like one time playing that one song. I think it was Bryan Danielson's Ring of Honor song.
The Final Countdown.
Yeah. Yeah, they paid like $70,000 for that, so I'm sure they'll pay for it.
Well, Clark, you clearly have too much time on your hands, so you have no excuse but to go over to the Wrestling Republic Undercard channel and subscribe there to see clips from our podcast, exclusive videos such as sold separately, such as the fantastic interview that Clark and you did with Mona over on there. Make sure to go and check that out. It is up over there now. Wrestling Republic Undercard for exclusive videos, clips, and more. Make sure you go and subscribe. While you are going to subscribe to things, also subscribe to the Allison Analysis YouTube channel, because my analysis for for tonight's Monday Night Raw will be out tomorrow. And also, don't forget to download Etsy. You can download the Etsy app on the App Store or Google Play Store. And if you head to the upcoming stream section, you can see when Clark and you wrestling takes are all going live. And what they do is you can go on there, you can join them, you can debate with them, you can put your camera on, you don't have to. It's a lot more of a conversation compared to a stream. And it is fantastic over there as well. But we now need to talk about Triple Mania last night, because the main event was El Hijo del Vikingo facing off against Alberto El Patron. Until a couple of weeks ago, El Patron was the AAA Mega Champion, but before Worlds Collide, Vikingo won it. So this essentially was the rematch of that in a steel cage. And as soon as Vikingo came out, it was clear Mexican fans were not happy that Vikingo was the new champion, despite him being one of the biggest faces in the company. They were giving him the 2015 Roman Reigns treatment. They were just showering booze on him. It was unbelievable. And at least to me, I mean, maybe there's more to it, but to me, it came across like the Triple R fans are not happy that WWE got involved. They suddenly took the title off El Patron, put it on to Vikingo, and it just made no sense storyline-wise. But anyway, El Patron and Vikingo started having this match, and it was, for the most part at the start, an enjoyable match, right? Just the crowd were just just chanting boos and all this. They were actually cheering for El Patron for the most part. But then a few of the heels, including JBL, came out and started to help El Patron and stop Vikingo from escaping the cage. At this point, the crowd were like, well, now Patron is just very clearly the heel, so we can't really cheer him either. Okay, we'll just either make no noise or boo it all. Now, there was a couple of spots, including a table spot, which did get a reaction. But for the most part, this was just heel stopping Vikingo winning. Vikingo still not getting cheered. Faces coming out to help Vikingo win. The face is getting cheered, but Vikingo still wasn't. And in the end, the cherry on top of the pie was the fact that they tried to handcuff Del Rio, Alberto El Patron to the rope so he couldn't escape and Vikingo could. But they botched it. El Patron literally was just pulling his hand away. He was like trying to say to them, quickly handcuff me more. And they just weren't doing it. They were then trying to do it again. He came undone again. It was an absolute disaster. El Patron was just pretending it was on in the end, but then it fell off his wrist. So the closing moment of the match was Vikingo escaping the cage. Meanwhile, Alberto El Patron was just having his wrist against the rope for some reason. There was no handcuffs there. He could have climbed the cage. He didn't try a little bit. I feel bad for him because, to be honest, Alberto El Patron put in a really good performance in this match. Outside of the ring, obviously, not so much of a great guy, but in the ring, he did have a great showing. The crowds hated this, and it went horribly, to the point I'm stumbling over my words. Josh, what was your thoughts on this absolute
Yeah, this sucked. I'm not like one to be like, yeah, that match sucked, or yeah, this, that. Like I can follow a story, and like if they botch something, I'm not the guy to go into Twitter or X and run over and be like, oh my god, they botched this. But if you botch it once, okay, handcuff still on the wrist, it's not actually attached to the rope, that's fine. Make it look believable. If the handcuff falls off the wrist, that's where you start adapting. That's where you do something else. That's where you're calling spots on the fly to make it make sense. But they didn't do that, so it didn't make sense. But I would, you covered a lot of why the botch and why the match was so insane. So I'll cover more about why I think it makes sense that Vikingo was getting booed so I put on the match today. I didn't get to watch it last night. Or I think it was 2 nights ago, or maybe last night. I don't know. But I put on the match this morning, and immediately, like right away, I don't watch a lot of AAA. I don't watch a lot of Mexican wrestling in Mexico. I watch a lot of Lucha Libre, but I rarely watch shows that are in Spanish. I don't know Spanish, whatever. So I was surprised that they were booing Vikingo a lot. I really was. So I started to think about it. I started to do a little research, and there were a lot of parallels to Roman Reigns 2015, Philadelphia. I was in the building. I was 8 years old, I want to say. Royal Rumble 2015. Roman Reigns was booed out of that building. I loved him. I was wearing my Roman Empire shirt. I was like crying because they were booing him. It was a mess for me because I was just an 8-year-old boy that loved Roman Reigns. That Philly crowd was tough, as they always are, and they were booing him. And that's because WWE handpicked Roman as the guy. Daniel Bryan was heavily invested into by all of the fans. They were emotionally invested in Daniel Bryan. And because of that, but the fans resented Roman's sudden rise. That's why the crowd turned on him. So Vikingo, it seems like he's the guy that's, he's been given the mega championship over Alberto El Patron. And it seems like Mexican fans may have been more invested into this long-running comeback storyline, and they kind of just threw it on Vikingo, I assume because they're not happy with this WWE purchase. Fans in Mexico, I'm sure some of them are not happy with WWE's corporate touch on AAA. And I assume that's what's going on here. Like the crowd turned on Vikingo, not necessarily because he's bad, not because he's not talented, because his win felt corporate. It was sudden. It maybe felt unearned. I feel like Vikingo was the office's pick and not the people's pick. And that's the issue. And the fans aren't being heard. They have a problem with it, and they will make their problem known. And I feel like this was Roman Reigns 2015 all over again. And the way I look at it, as WWE and AAA need to remember that you can't force a chosen one if the people have not chosen him yet. That's my final take.
The thing is, I don't even think that it's the fact that Vikingo isn't the chosen one. I think the issue here is that the Triple R fans just felt like WWE just abandoned their storylines just because they wanted to get the title off El Patron. Which of course for WWE makes a lot of sense, but I guess to the AAA fans, you just suddenly done a story which wasn't being built and have just scrapped everything else. Fernando says Triple R fans have to get over it. WWE cannot have Alberto as the Triple R champion with his baggage in real life. That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, but I feel like, and Clark, I think we spoke about this on the show a little bit more, but in Mexico, a couple of weeks ago, in Mexico, they can often separate the art from the artist in professional wrestling a bit more.
Culturally, it's a lot different, like especially because generally speaking, I mean, if you look at lucha culture, you actually don't know the real name of the person behind the mask.
Yeah.
And the idea of knowing what they do in real life, like you don't, there's almost like we understand what kayfabe is, but there's almost no separation of kayfabe from real life. Like Mil Mascaras, you don't know his name. If you see him in public, he's in the mask.
Yeah.
Right. If he's not wearing the mask, he's not Mil Mascaras, and nobody knows. Right. Obviously, it's a little bit different. Alberto El Patron not masked and whatnot, but there is just mentally more of a separation from what you're seeing on screen than you are just culturally speaking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I Make Beat says I feel old now about Josh being 8 during that Roman Reigns Royal Rumble.
No, I was 10. I was
about to say, when you said 8, I was like, that sounds very wrong here.
No,
I was 10. He was still on Three Sons and
2000. Yeah, 2005 was the birth year. 2000. Yeah, that was 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Applesauce?
That makes a bit more sense.
You were still in the applesauce phase.
I think I was past applesauce.
Dude,
I mean,
you didn't have applesauce at 10?
I was watching WWE. I got past the applesauce phase pretty quick.
Oh, that's a nice snack, though. Why are you dogging applesauce?
Goldfish. That was really my thing back then.
Especially with the little cinnamon.
Yeah.
I'll still do applesauce.
The question is, did that Roman Reigns heartbreak lead you to leave professional wrestling and to start an Apple YouTube channel? Was that the arc?
If you're such an Apple guy, why are you hating on the sauce?
I mean, I will. So I'll have you know as well. I also have a wrestling YouTube channel where I was probably about 7 years old on camera, 8 years old.
Oh, well, we gotta get this one up now. What's this?
Get that one in.
The channel is tough to find. It's like J-Man Boys on YouTube, but there's like a video. I mean, it got like 3,000 views. Actually, I was reviewing the Roman Reigns gold replica vest, and yeah, I actually think him winning led me to becoming a bigger Roman Reigns fan. But I was definitely crying on the way out. Wells Fargo Center was a mess. Everyone was booing. Down the escalators, everybody was booing. I was a mess.
Do you think your Apple content run, though, ended because of your hatred of the sauce?
Possibly, yes.
I think that's why.
Wow.
That's possible. There could be a correlation.
If you're going to be an Apple guy, you got to like them both.
There definitely could be a correlation there. I wouldn't say.
I tried to find it. I can't find the channel, unfortunately. I did try.
Find it.
Oh,
I Make Beats says I was 14 when YouTube was founded.
When was YouTube founded, by the way? I can do the math on mine.
So it would based on that, if he's 35 soon, then that would be 20 years ago. So
then it would have been 13. I'm 34 soon.
So Josh was he was 6-7 years younger than you when YouTube was founded, when he made his first YouTube video.
No, Josh is more than 6-7 years younger than me. He's like 13.
No, 6 or 7 years younger than you were when YouTube was founded. He was making his first YouTube channel. Anyway, Clark, what did you think about Vikingo versus El Patron?
What a comedy of errors. Talk about, like, I thought the cage was to keep people out of the cage. We had people in the cage, weapons in the cage, the door opening all the time. We can't get the handcuffs to work. I don't know if anything went right during this match other than the commentary was electric. I was all in on the commentary. Like, I understand enough Spanish that the commentary was electric. That was my favorite part. For me, this was not it at all. I don't know if they were booing Vikingo as much as the crowd was booing the match. I think because it was even more shenanigans than you normally get. Maybe it was a bit of both. I'm sure, right? Multiple things can be truth at once, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, this was what it was. I think both Vikingo and unfortunately El Patron, bad guy, talented wrestler, are very talented. Not their best effort inside of a cage, no matter how many sides of the ring there are on this one. Kind of a throwaway deal, and I think it's hard to just go off this because I would expect more out of a triple A main event match between two absolute, sublime wrestlers.
I actually also, before we wrap up, want to get your take on the fact that in America, it is now officially AAA, not AAA.
Well, I mean, that's just pronunciation. I get it. We speak.
But they've adapted. If I was them, I'd be like, no, screw it. Let's call it AAA, and people will adapt.
I mean, and it's AAA. Like it's hard to even. I don't. And my pronunciation's terrible, right? I'm the lone one on my side of the family that speaks Spanish. That like I understand it, but I was too lazy as a kid to learn it. So I'm guilty on all accord there. But I understand what's going on there, and the pronunciation part is a little bit difficult. So I guess, for the American fan, that's how you're going to read it. Generally speaking, I don't think it's necessarily disrespectful culturally, intentionally, but it is what it is. But to print the words triple and then 3 A's and expect everybody to call it triple A, like, and do it. I know it's a big ask. Yeah. So I think it's one of those type of things. Yeah,
use
no.
Duolingo. Well, maybe we need to get a Duolingo sponsorship, although I think the company is now all AI.
My problem is, like, I can understand it. I can speak pretty good Spanglish, but at the end of the day, like, my mom and sister are fluent and I'm not.
We do have, though, I didn't actually read this out. David submitted a question saying, how do WWE navigate El Hijo del Vikingo being over in the US but booed in Mexico? I think the solution might just be wait a little bit of time. Like, I think people aren't annoyed at Vikingo. I think they're annoyed at the company. So just make sure you don't do this again, and I think it'll be fine. Worst case, send him to NXT.
There you go.
I don't think Sean would complain about having Vikingo on the roster. I Make Beat says he'll be okay. He is widely respected from what I heard. And if he's getting pushed through WWE, I think big things are for him. Yeah, I do agree on that one as well. But that does bring us to the end of what has been a chaotic but great episode, I hope. I hope you guys in the comments did enjoy. If so, please leave a like. That helps us out tons. And we will be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Clark and thank you to Josh. And shout out to Josh for all the podcasts as of late. He will be back in the near future as well, post-summer. But thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. Peace.